Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, welcome back with me here, and today's topic we're gonna talk about English language teaching in Islamic education in Indonesia and what are the challenges and the opportunities that we will face in ELT, especially in our country Indonesia. So for the first, as we know that English is the most spoken language in the world and has turned into a massive language as well as important alternative in the administration, in the advertisement, broadcasting, movies, music, air transportation, and also in the internet. And the widespread of English has reached the macro acquisition where people learn English because they want to, not because somebody push them to learn English, but because they want to, and also they see they need to acquire and achieve this English language. So if you're talking about English, actually there's a benefit and also there's a risk of acquiring English language. And some of scholars say that there are three potential threats of the global language. And the global language it means the English language. For the first is linguistic power and the emergence of linguistic elite group. It means those who have the ability of speaking the global language, such as English, Chinese, and etc., acquire more advantages in the expense of others who cannot have the access or the opportunity for certain purpose. And also, it will make some differentiation between the have and the don't have, the one who can speak and the one who cannot speak. And also, the second is linguistic complicancy. The English language speakers or the native English speakers have less intention to learn other language. Because what? Because they assume that English is present anywhere. By using English language, they can go anywhere they want and they don't need to learn any kind of language. So they think that by using English language they can go anywhere, and then they do not need to learn any other languages. And the third is linguistic debt. Linguistic debt. It means the general interest and generous incentive for acquiring English lessen or decrease the motivation to speak or to learn minority language. So then all of the minority languages leads to language loss because they don't want or they don't have motivation to learn minority language because of the global language. So those are the three potential threats or risk of the global language. And that's all in the world. But how about in Indonesia? And how about in Indonesia if we are learning global language or especially English language? So some of students or parents maybe they will feel anxiety. Anxiety of what? They will feel anxiety to treat the purity of Bahasa Indonesia or Indonesian language. They think by learning English will lead to the loss of Indonesian language. That's the first. And the second is they worry about liberal Western or East Western values that embed in English to corrupt the youngster moral and attitudes. And maybe they think that by learning English, all of the Western culture or liberal culture will come to their mind while learning English. And then Islamic education has an important role to solve this problem. And how Islam can solve this problem? By the Islamic education. And Islamic education remains the choice of the Indonesian Muslim communities as long as it's able to meet the demands of living in the globalization era while keeping the Islamic values in all the learning process. And ELT also, English language teaching in Indonesia, needs to incorporate Islamic values and show that English learning put no threats and negative influences. It doesn't matter if you learn English, and ELT need to incorporate Islamic values and tell to all of the students, parents, teachers that that learning English has no negative influence to Indonesian culture in general and Islamic religious values in particular. So, do Muslims can learn English? The answer is yes. They can learn English without losing their identity as the Muslim. So, for Indonesia as the country with the biggest Muslim population, another issue raised from learning English is the anxiety of losing Muslim identity by the influence of Western culture and lifestyle brought by English language. That's the first issue. And actually, when learning another language, culture is also taught implicitly during the process. And the case that we found in Indonesia, that the practice of ELT in Islamic context was often viewed as a massive weapon of the missionary agenda, or such as spreading Christian values and Western practice opposing the Islamic teaching. And in fact, all of this statement is wrong, because the issue may be a serious concern for the communities trying to preserve its local and typical values and wisdom. And all of this is wrong because by learning English, they don't want to spread Christian and Western values, but they just want to teach us English language itself. And as we know that Indonesia, our country is Indonesia, is unique in terms of religious diversity and language richness. And Islam in Indonesia has been acknowledged to be different from Islam in the Arabs or in the Middle East. It's considered to be more dynamic, more tolerant, and honors to multiculturalism and religious diversity of its community. On the contrary of Arab and the Middle East Islam, that is considered more radical and fanatic by the Western communities. So, at least each of us as the Indonesian are multilingual, because we can speak our national language Bahasa Indonesia, and at least we can speak our regional language or Bahasa Daerah. So, about Islam education in Indonesia, if you are talking about Islam education in Indonesia, Islam has a distinctive history compared to that of other Muslim countries. And the Islamic education in Indonesia developed since the Dutch colonialisms or before our independence day. And its development can be dated back from the era before Dutch colonialisms to after Indonesian independence. And as we know, if we are talking about Islamic education in Indonesia, boarding school or pesantren is the bigger Islamic education institution, and this pesantren was established and become an alternative for parents who did not like Dutch schools. And alright, and ELT development in Indonesia. English language has been taught as a foreign language in Indonesia schools since the national education system was established. It was chosen for its international recognition and wide utilization, replacing Dutch, the language of the colonials, which was lack of international use. And because the Dutch language, there's just a little bit who can speak Dutch. That's why they change it into English. And although other foreign languages such as Arabic, French, Mandarin, Spanish, and German also taught at some schools this day, but English has an important role. English remains as the only foreign language in the curriculum for general public school or for all of the schools in Indonesia. Alright. And our interesting point from Indonesian ELT development is the change of the curriculum, because the curriculum day by day, years, time by time, and years by years always change. Indonesian ELT and alright, and so what are the challenges of ELT in Indonesia? It's the fact that English has maintained a special position in most educational institutions in Indonesia, and it's needed for the incentive offers to access information. So why do we learn Why do we learn English? Especially we as a Muslim in Indonesia, to access information, that first, and to fulfill job requirements. Because if you want to work, some of the hire will ask for your English proficiency. And the second and the third is to communicate internationally. Maybe sometimes you will speak with a native speaker for another country. And the last is to compete globally. And we cannot hide from English language nowadays, because all of the written language in the internet are English language, are written by English. But the fondness of using English terms is concerned to threaten the purity of Bahasa Indonesia, just like what I mentioned in the first. And being exposed to liberal Western values in English is worried also to corrupt the moral or to decrease the moral and attitude for the youngster. And those are the challenges of ELT in Indonesia. And what else? What other challenges that we can face, that we will face in our daily activities? And we feel it. We felt it already. We can see that only few schools have lack of facilities, or there's no adequate places or library to learn a language. Only few schools have a good facilities. Only few schools has a language laboratory and also learning center. But most schools do not even provide a good places or good facilities, and do not even provide tape recorder or other media for students to do listening activity. It's shame of us. It's pity on us. So the first is the purity, the anxiousness of purity of Bahasa Indonesia. The second is Western culture or liberal culture, and the third is lack of facilities, lack of places, lack of media, and now the fourth, the situation of learning environment. And we know that not all of the schools has a good environment to learn. Maybe they have lack of resource, and so then even the motivated teachers hardly able to learn to vary their teaching activities, because they do not provide this teacher the media, the resources. And another serious concern that we need to know is the teacher qualification. This is also our challenge, because not all of the language teacher has a good English, has a good English proficiency, and English language teachers were hardly be able to perform good teaching. due to or because of their poor qualification in English.